Hello all, welcome to R&D Labs with me Rohan, and today we are going to see how to use the Firestore database in your Swift project. Today we'll see how to add the Firestore libraries to your Swift project and also try to add data in it. So let's get started. Alright, so first things first, what we will do is we will go to our Firebase console. The console's URL is console.firebase.google.com, and we have a free plan from Firebase and with a lot of limitations, of course, but anyhow, it is good for our tutorial. In case if you want to scale it, there are pricing options available within the console. Okay, so for our tutorial, we will just first create a new project, and we'll just give a name as test Firebase database. Okay, so this is our project name within the Firebase console. Just click next, continue. We'll select an account which is a default Firebase account. Click create project. And after a while the project is ready, and for you to use this particular project you need to click continue. Okay, and it will take you to the project dashboard. Okay, so this is the area where you will be seeing all your project options. Okay, so this is the entire catalog from Firebase that you can use for your project. In the previous tutorial we had used the real-time database, but over here in this tutorial we'll be using the Firestore database. Okay, so let's click that, and we will just click create database. So again, what I'm trying to bring to you guys is, like, you need to understand when to use the real-time database and when to use a Firestore database. Okay, so if the operation of the data is quite simple and you just need the data in a temporary state, you can use the real-time database. Okay, and when you have a lot of complex operations, okay, where you need to read, write, edit the data, store the data in large volume, that is when the Firestore database comes into the picture. Google has got some extensive documentation about it as to when to choose the real-time database and when to choose the Firestore database, but it is completely up to you. It is quite subjective based on your usage, that you can use the real-time database or you can use the Firestore database for your project. Okay, in the real-time database you have the data stored on a JSON platform. Okay, you have different types of elements, the root element, and then we have the child elements, and you set the data within that, as you have seen in the previous tutorial. But over here it's like a document. Okay, so if the data is stored in form of a document, and then you have to set the data within that document. Okay, so we will see in this tutorial how the data is been stored, but yes, as I said, it is quite subjective based upon your requirement as to how or which database you opt for your app. Okay, so in this tutorial we will start with the test mode. Okay, I don't want to be in the production mode, so I'll be starting with the test mode, and I have 30 days validity on the data. Okay, so after this I won't be able to access the test mode, so I will have to change the timestamp over here later on. Okay, in case if my testing still goes on more than 30 days. Okay, so I will select this and I'll click next. Yes, so I'm speaking to you from the Middle East and North Africa region, so I will select somewhere which is closer to my area. Okay, so maybe say Europe, Europe Central. Yeah, this is quite near to my place, so I'll just select that and click enable. Again, this doesn't make any difference. You can even choose any other area. This is just for my comfort. I'll give some time for it to provision it. Alright, so now we are into the Firestore console by itself. Okay, and again, as I said, the data is stored in collection. Okay, and every collection has got its set of data within it. Okay, so when we are writing the data into the Firestore database, we will have to give all that information. Okay, so we will leave this right here. Okay, we are not going to do anything as such as of now. Okay, and we will go back to our project. And over here, since we have already configured the Firestore database, but you haven't linked this entire bunch of Firestore, or rather the Firebase catalog, okay, to your Swift project. Okay, in that case, you will have to select the iOS app, okay, and give the bundle identifier to your app. You getting me? So in the previous step, what we did was we had just created a Firestore database within the Firebase console. Okay, but we are yet to connect this console to our app. Okay, in that case, what you have to do is go to the project overview, okay, and this page will show up, okay, and then select the iOS plus option, and here you will have to specify your bundle identifier. Okay, so where is a bundle identifier? It's right here. This is our bundle identifier, so let's copy that, and then we have to paste it here. Okay, and there's no need for us to provide all this, so just select register app. And again, when you are in this step, you need to download the Google Service info.plist file. I get a lot of messages saying that we are not able to see the data on the console. Most of it is to do with the step missing, where you have to download the Google Service info.plist file and you will have to add it within your project. What happens is they just click next, and after doing this they miss out on adding the Google Service info.plist file. So this step is very important. So you need to download the Google Service info.plist file and add it to your project. So we'll do that right now. Okay, so I will add that. Okay, so I'm just copying the Google Service info.plist file from my downloads folder, and I'll just paste it here. And the option is there for me to copy the items. Yeah, just click finish. But hey, again, if you see that we already have a Google Service info.plist file from a previous tutorial. Okay, so I don't want to interfere in this because I have already deleted the project within the Firebase console. So I will just remove and move it through trash, and I will rename this to Google Service info.plist. Okay, so again, in case if you are using any of the Firebase items from the catalog within your project, you don't need multiple Google Service info.plist file for your project. Okay, you can still use one. The reason I have two is because the older one was being used for the previous tutorial, and I have already deleted that project from the Firebase console. So in case if you're adding a new project to the console, you need to have a new Google Service info.plist file, and you can use the entire catalog of the Firebase. Okay, so in your project. Okay, so and after doing this, let's go back to our console and just click next. Yes, and they are actually adding this step. So initially, if you have seen my older tutorials from the last year, we were seeing the pod commands over here in this step. Okay, but now they are recommending to use the Swift package manager to add your pods within the project. Okay, so but then again, we will just stick with the pod files. Okay, this we will try it in some other tutorial in some other project, but for the sake of this tutorial, we'll just go ahead and add the pods for the Firebase database. Okay, so let's click next, and yes, next, and just click continue. All right, so your project is ready, your project is linked. Here you can see your bundle identifier of the Swift project, and your Firestore database is also ready. Okay, so what's pending right now is to link the pod files to our project. Okay, all right, so let's go to our pod file here. What I have noticed is that you will need to comment the Firebase core a pod over here, because the Firebase core will be automatically added when you are writing when you are importing the Firebase store pods. Okay, so you just don't need to add this explicitly. This will be automatically added to your project. So now, which pod command should we add? Okay, so we will just say pod. We will have to write the Firebase slash Firestore. Okay, so this is one of the pod command. And the next one is, since we are using Swift, they are recommending to add the Firebase Firestore Swift pod command as well. Okay, so these are the two new pod commands for using the Firestore database. Okay, so one is the Firebase slash Firestore, and the other one is the Firebase Firestore Swift pod command. Okay, so once you do that, let's open up the terminal, which is right here, and I will just say pod install. It will take a while for the pods to install. Okay, so we'll just give that time. All right, so the pods are installed. As you can see, the Firebase core is also installed. Okay, so this is what we had removed from the pod statement earlier. Okay, and the Firebase core is already part of the Firestore pod. Okay, so we have done all that, and let's go ahead and add the reference to the Firebase Firestore. So let's go into our view controller.swift class. It is here that we had written a lot of lines of code for configuring and using the real-time database. So over here, you will have to make room for one more line to import the Firebase Firestore module. Okay, so let's say Firebase Firestore. So this is what we had imported using a pod command. Okay, and again, as a reference, we will have to add one more reference to our database, which is Firestore database. Okay, so as we had done previously for the real-time database, as in over here. Okay, so let's write var db. Okay, and let's say Firestore. Okay, so this is our Firestore database reference. And after this, let's go to our view.load method. So we'll not touch what we had done in the previous tutorial. So let's write db is equal to the same variable for the Firestore, and we will have to initialize that variable. Okay, so we have declared it over here, but we haven't initialized it. Okay, so let's write Firestore dot Firestore. Okay, so we have initialized the variable, after which what we're going to do is we are going to add a button to our storyboard. And we will just expand it, set some constraint to it. Okay, so let's set some constraint so that it sticks properly. All right, so the constraints are set, and over here what I will just say is add Firestore db. All right, so yeah, I don't have a specific word to it, but then yes, I just want to trigger this button somehow. Okay, and with that in mind, let us add in action to it. So let's add an action which control drag the control, and let's say add Firestore data click. Okay, so action is a click, so let's add that here. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do is we are going to add the data within the Firestore database. Before I begin, I just want you to know that the data that we are storing, the structure in which the data has been stored within the Firebase database is quite different than what we had seen in in the real-time database tutorial. In the real-time database tutorial, we had seen the data being structured on a JSON object. Okay, so you have a root element, and within that you have a set of child elements, and that created an hierarchy. Okay, so this is what we had seen. And even in the case of in your real world examples, like if you're using Microsoft SQL or Oracle or MySQL for that matter, you have an RDMS structure. Okay, you have a database, and within that you have a table and a set of rows in it. Okay, and a set of rows will be defined by the columns that they are being bound to. Okay, so this is what the RDMS structure is. Now just keep this in mind, and if you see the Firebase data structure, okay, so you have a project name, okay, and then you have a set of collections. Okay, for example, you want to have a collection of users for that matter. In this case, the collection becomes your database name. Okay, I'm just trying to align your thought process to the RDMS structure. Okay, so if the collection becomes your database, and then within the collections you have documents. Okay, so your documents, it can be one or multiple documents. Okay, you can name the document, or you can actually use the inbuilt feature of giving a random number to a document. That is totally up to you. We will see all that in this tutorial. So you have multiple documents in it, and then within the document you have sub collections. Okay, so again, it is many to many relationships, so you can have multiple collections, and within those collections you can have multiple documents, and then within the documents you can have multiple sub collections. Okay, and now what we see is the last hierarchy. I can recommend, I can see that these are kind of rows within the RDMS structure. Okay, so I hope you understand this, and in case any doubt, please reach me out in the comment section. I'll be happy to help as always. Okay, so let's begin. So what are we going to do right now is we are going to create a collection of users. Okay, and within that collection we will have two sets of users, which is the admin user and the normal user. Okay, so within the admin user I will be having rows in it. Okay, so I have the first name, last name, and maybe say designation or something like that. So that is what I'm going to add in my sub collection. So let us go ahead and write them. All right, so let's write as db. Okay, and we will just say dot collection. Okay, and in this we will just say users. Okay, and within the users, this is your collection name, and within the users we have as admin. Okay, so I'm just going to give document name as admin. Okay, and within the admin I'm going to set the data within it. Okay, so let's say set data, set data. Okay, and within the data I am going to set a set of data. Okay, so let's say a first name, first, and I will just say Rohan. Okay, so this is the first name, and then you can copy paste this, take it to another line, just say last and just say K, right, and I will again copy paste it, remove the comma. Okay, because I don't want this to repeat. Okay, so we will have three elements within it, so I'll just say 1985. And the best part over here is we have a completion handler. Okay, so we can add in a completion handler over here, which is says error in. Okay, so we will see if there is any error. Okay, so let's say let our error is equal to error, which is our variable which we declared over here, and just keep it as capitals. Okay, and if there is an error, then just say print error. Okay, and again using string interpolation, I'll just say error. Okay, and if there is no error, so yes, so we can say that the document is being added. to your Firestore. Okay, so let's say print document added. Okay, so this is what we are going to write, and that's it. So let's give this a try. First, let's build it. All right, so I think I will have to add a O here. Yes. Build again. Yes, I will have to build it again because I changed the variable name in the print statement. All right, so what we will do is we will run this on our iPhone 13 Pro, and let's give it a try. The build is successful. In fact, I will just open up the console so that we are able to see the updates within the Firestore database. All right, so what we have done is we have got rid of this section in the code. Okay, so the data will be hard coded from the code we have written and not from the text field that we had added in the UI view controller. Okay, so we just click the add Firestore database button and see what happens here. All right, so let's refresh it. And once you refresh, you have a the collection is added. Okay, so where did this all come from? Okay, so we had the collection set as users. Okay, and within the users we had a document named as admin, and within the document we had the fields, the first field, the last field, and the date of birth field. Okay, so when you look at it on a very RDMS structure, okay, so we have a database over here. Okay, a set of database. Okay, and within the database we have a table. Okay, and we have the columns to it. Okay, so we have the first name, last name, and the date of birth column. So this is what the structure is if you want to relate it to the RDBMS structure. Okay, but the Firebase structure is more to do with the document and its collection. Okay, so you have multiple collections, and then you have multiple documents, and then you have multiple sub collections. Okay, so you have all this within the Firebase structure. Okay, so again you can actually change this. Okay, so in case if you don't want your user defined value to be there as admin or anything else, you can use a randomized ID for your document. Okay, so let's get started and we will write a randomized ID for your document. Okay, so let's do that right now. Okay, so we will just write it here. Let's write this, say let db dot collection. Okay, so again the same line of code that we are writing, and here we'll just write users. So if you write anything else apart from the users, it will create a new collection. Okay, so you will write the same collection as we had written in the previous lines. Okay, so let's write users dot add document. Okay, instead of the document over here we are going to write add document. So this will give you a randomized number. We will see that how it is done. Okay, and within the data collection you will just copy this part of it. Okay, just copy this, and within this just write your first name, last name, and the date of birth. Okay, yes. Okay, so I hope I have aligned it properly. So you have the first name, the last name, and the date of birth. Okay, so I have done all this. Okay, error, yes, and we will remove this part of it, and we will remove the completion handler. Okay, so that's done, and let's build it and see. Oh, why has it failed? Yes, so we did miss a curly braces, so let's give it a try again. Perfect. All right, so yes, so what did we change? Before I go and build and show you guys what did we change. So nothing much. Okay, we, instead of adding a document with a name, we just used add document. Okay, so this will create a randomized number for you. Okay, so again, it completely depends on the way you use this Firestore database based on a use case, so it's completely subjective. Okay, all right, so what do we have here? The same set of data. Okay, let's click. Interesting, isn't it? So you have a new document, okay, with a randomized number, a randomized ID rather, okay, and you have a same set of field. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, so now since you have added, you want to change that field. Okay, so I don't know when we were using this particular Firestore database in our projects. Okay, when we had given the same document name as admin, and whenever we tried to change a record, we just changed this value over here and kept the document name as it is. The value got changed, but the official documentation of the Firestore database says that you need to call the update data method. Okay, so anyhow, I will show it to you. And so in case if you want to edit a document, okay, so just specify the same document name and change the data over here. Okay, so let's run this again. All right, so just keep an eye on this document and just see what happens. Okay, so another row has been added, or another document has been added, because we haven't removed this part of it. Okay, so that is why since the unique ID is there, so it has created another document. Okay, but we have the same document name, which is admin. Okay, so you have users admin, and within the admin you have the same document. Okay, so your value is changed. The date of birth field from this particular record is changed. Okay, so you can still update the record, but let's try the official way of updating the record. Okay, so let's write few lines of code here. So let's say db dot collection. Okay, and let's say users. Okay, dot document. Okay, so we have the document as admin. Okay, and within the admin we can say dot update data. So let's write update data, and again we will have to copy these fields over here, all these. Okay, so let's remove all of this, we don't need them, and that's it. Must be separated. Okay, let's again, I think we messed up with the curly braces. Okay, yes, right here. Perfect. Okay, so let's give it 1986, and let's run this again. Let's open up the simulator. Perfect. You see that? Where did we write this? Okay, so we wrote it within the update data method. Okay, so we had called the update data method, and we wrote the date of birth to be a bit different than what we had written on top. Okay, so this is how you actually create a record and edit a record. Okay, there is something furthermore, where you can merge a record. Okay, so I didn't feel it necessary to show it to you guys, but again, merge will actually create or edit a record if it is not available. Again, if you are still using the way that I have shown you to add the data, you don't need to use the merge property. Okay, so what does the merge property do? It says that if you use the merge property, in case if the document is not available within the collection, okay, it will create the collection. If the document is available in the collection, then it will update. Okay, so this is the this is what the merge property does. So in case if you want to close the circle of data update and the creation as part of this tutorial, you can use the merge property to it. Okay, so let's write merge, okay, and just say true to it. But again, I really don't think that you should be using this. In case if you're still following the tutorial, you can still play with the document name. So what merge will do is it will check if admin is present or not. If it is present, then it will try to update the data. If it is not present, then it will try to add the collection to it. Okay, so this is what it will do. In the coming tutorial, we will be seeing more in-depth advanced features of the Firebase data store, like how to read the data, how to validate the data, how to secure your data, and how to manage your data. And so these are the features that we will be discussing. So it's that simple to use a Firestore database in your Swift project. I hope you like this tutorial. If you have any doubts, please reach me out in the comment section. I'll be happy to help as always. And in the coming tutorial, we'll be seeing more advanced operation on your Firestore database. So please stick around, take care, and see you until next time. Cheers.